Manchester City take on Arsenal tonight in the FA Cup fourth round. It's live on talkSPORT. Martin, obviously you'll have a very keen eye on this. Pep has been talking because at one time Arteta, now of course in charge of Arsenal and pulling up trees with them, is the man who used to sit shoulder to shoulder, side by side with Pep at Manchester City, helping Pep every which way he could. Guardiola's been talking about Arteta and he reflected on his journey in management so far.
He could, I think, happen years before, 1 or 2 years before. It didn't happen what happened, and I'm not a guy to say, no, you have to stay with me. So everyone has their dreams. And I know he went to the team, his club, you know, the dream he dreams of. So he's, I think, a supporter. He loves the club. I remember that when we were together here, when we scored a lot of goals with our opponents, always he jumped and celebrated, except one team. In one team, every time I scored a goal, I jumped, come back, he was sitting there. It was Arsenal. So in that moment, I said, oh, that guy likes Arsenal, you know? And yeah, it's what it is. So it's like me. I'm training here, wherever, assistant coach, and Barcelona call me, I will go to Barcelona. It's my club.
Aha! So Barcelona is his club. Arsenal is Arteta's club.
If he was the assistant, and he's not, he's the manager, so he's not going to be likely to leave there and go to Barcelona sometime soon, Jim.
Yeah. What about that,
yes,
though, this endorsement of this love affair that is seemingly lifelong for Arteta and Arsenal?
Well, I think Pep's right. He's a man who needed to leave Man City to make his own way in the game. He needed to take his own team, Jim. Take his own team and see if he could actually... There would have been no point in him hanging around waiting for Pep to have left, to have finished, because we wouldn't know if he had the necessary credentials to be a top manager. We definitely know now that he's got that. Of course, it's a huge match, both best two teams in the Premier League.
Does it have any bearing in the title race?
I think it does. Of course it does, because it's an opportunity for you to show how good you are up against your best opponent. Man City have been the best team, along with Liverpool now for a good number of years. Arsenal coming up on the rails, in front in the Premier League. I think you want to give them a taste. It's a great challenge for these players. You want to demonstrate that you're at the level now, that you can compete with Man City.
So do Arsenal go full strength? I
think they won't be far away, Jim. I can't see that there's any reason why not. There's no round of 32 in the Europa League coming up for them. They tidied that job up nicely, winning their league. So they just need to concentrate on the Premier League and the FA Cup at the moment in tandem. I don't see a real issue with that. The strength in depth for the City teams is enormous. And Arsenal right now have got this fire in their bellies that the manager's Pep's been talking about. He's almost been looked glowingly, isn't he? At his former pupil and said, look what he's creating there. We need that back here. And this is a great chance for his players to prove they're still number one.
I'm interested. Interesting listening to Martin there. Yeah, it might not be far off full strength for Arsenal. And it does have a bearing on the title race. I wasn't sure that it would, but Martin's kind of made me think differently. Do you think it has a major bearing on the title race?
Theoretically, no. Because ultimately they're not going to lose points in an FA Cup game, but practically probably yes. The mindset of players, if they get into a game, everyone's suggesting now that there's one more box to tick because it's the constant, does he need to validate himself some more? And I brought this up as well. They've got to play Man City twice in the league. If they were to lose both of those games, the league's wide open again. And of course, if they were to win both of those games, the league is definitely in their hands and they'll be away with themselves. Yeah. So they can get a result against Manchester City in the FA Cup in a game where they haven't got to play for another week. There's no midweek game. Yeah. Why wouldn't you put your best foot forward in a big tournament that you've got great history in? It's the first thing that he's won as a manager with Arsenal and as a manager full stop. So I expect them to be strong.
Yes. Jim, I think it's the thing about momentum as well. So I've been very fortunate to have won 2 doubles. And if you think of what Manchester United did in 99, when they beat Arsenal in that epic semi-final, well, if that didn't happen, what would have happened to their momentum? We'll never know, but it probably would have affected it. Right. And I think we're in the same situation here. Right. If Man City really... it hasn't been great for Arsenal going to Man City in recent times. And if that were to happen, then it's a little bit... It's a strike across the bow for Arsenal. It would hurt them. But I like what the manager's doing there. I think he's rebuilding the culture of respect and that habit of winning. Yeah. And they are driven now. They're eating, breathing, sleeping football, Jim. And they're believing. Then now that belief grows, and there's a trust as well. Well, in your newspaper column, Martin, and this is where you differ from Simon, you've still got one, he doesn't. Bukayo Saka. Oh, is that going to change? All right, is there breaking news on that front?
No, I'm not telling you. Just wait and see.
All right, okay. Sam and
You won't be
Jordan.
able to ridicule him anymore.
Back in print. Bukayo Saka, Martin tells us in his widely read newspaper column, is one player from Arteta's Arsenal team who'd walk into our Invincibles side. You'd like to expand on that?
Well,
you feel he'd just stroll in?
I don't want to take anything away from the current group, anybody else in the group, because there might be others in time that actually justify doing that. But right now, at this moment, I think Saka has been quite remarkable the way that he's playing. Jim, we look at Rashford and we say he's unplayable. We look at Foden and we say, well, got great feet, great trickery. And I see Saka as both of those qualities in abundance in himself. He's got the pace. He can trick. He can feint past you. I don't think last week Luke Shaw had a nightmare playing against him. Now that's one of the best fullbacks in the country at the moment, and he couldn't work him out. He hits the strike from distance. 5 minutes later, he does exactly the same thing. Couldn't stop him. Knew what he was going to do, and he hits the base of the post. So this guy is really taking it to the next level. I think he's top class. He's got the world at his feet, Jim.
Yeah,
I'm not sure he gets enough credit. In fairness, when we saw what he did in the Euros, missed that penalty, he came back from that. I think that there was a great response to him around the country, I have to say. And in the World Cup, he was magnificent.
Yeah.
So the challenges that he put before him, he keeps taking them. And I think if Arsenal are going to do something this season, he has to be the one that I think really they invest in.
Who would he replace in the Invincibles side?
Well, it's probably on that right-hand side. Is it Freddie Lundberg? Would it be Freddie?
Sorry, Freddie.
I
So
don't
you're
know
kicking Freddie out.
I'm not picking Freddie.
Was this one
out.
of your real impartial columns where you're not acting as a cheerleader?
The
or
point
is it
I'm
a real
making.
fault?
The point I'm making is that I think he's at that level now. You don't want to do comparisons, but I see that you'd have to give him games. I don't think Wenger would have wanted to sit him on the bench too often.
It's a good column. It's a good column he's got in the newspaper. So where are you going to be writing?
Mind your own business.
All right, I'll watch.
Bino.
Is it another tabloid adventure? Oops, cor blimey! Exclam.
He's doing it.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.